The next one is from a poem called The Bait by John Donne. Each fish which every channel hath will amorously to thee swim. Now if that sounds as though he's saying that his mistress is so pretty that all the fish will swim to her, that is exactly what he's saying. John Donne, being a metaphysical poet, loves to combine unusual things. So when he talks to his love, he'll talk to her in terms of fishing, camping gear, compasses, and all manner of newfangled things. Okay, gladder to catch thee than thou him. And if we look at the metaphysical section over here, beyond the physical, we see that it's images of new sciences, telescopes, compasses, unlike images placed together, love and trout fishing, like the one we just looked at, faithfulness and compass legs, like one we're going to see in the future. This was the time of the rise of science, the great Catholic Protestant disputes, lots of people getting burned and killed as heretics, the time of voyages and discoveries, discovering the new world. This date should be 1600 to 1660, by the way. Now, the next one here is from an amazing poem by John Donne called The Flea, in which the young John Donne, later he was a dean of St. Paul's Cathedral, for heaven's sakes, but young man, he wrote these poems of seduction towards women, and this one he's apparently trying to convince a woman to sleep with him, and they've both been bitten by a flea, and he's trying to convince her that it's all right since their bodily fluids are already mingled in the flea. That mark but this flea, and mark in this how little that which thou deniest me is. And again, don't we have there the unlike images placed together, love and trout fishing, in this case love and body insects. Yeah, very metaphysical, very strange combinations. Now this one is by the great George Herbert, who could have been a wealthy man living in London, but chose to use his final decades as a simple country parson, living out in a rural area and ministering to the poor, the elderly, the sick, and writing these poems about what religion really means, and writing them for the comfort of his parishioners. And it's well, I'm telling you, this one is metaphysical, and it is using unlike images, and this one talking about the soul in terms of lumber. Only a sweet and virtuous soul, like seasoned timber, never gives. But though the whole world turn to coal, like when it burns at Judgment Day, then chiefly lives. Okay, it's a very, very deep and complex idea wrapped up in these fairly simple lines. We should be getting a Cavalier poem here soon. Remember, that's the poems of the good old boys, the followers of King Charles I, before he was beheaded, the wealthy young lords who defended their king and often were beheaded for the trouble. They loved war and hunting images and poems with swords and horses in them, guns and dogs, their mistresses, often the unfaithfulness of women. Their scenes were often jail cells and prisons, since they were often imprisoned by Puritan forces. And here's one that kind of wraps up the whole thing on the Cavalier, especially the instability of love. Out upon it, says this young man, I've loved 3 whole days together, and am like to love 3 more, if it prove fair weather. So he goes riding off to his next adventure. The very next one is by a rather different kind of Cavalier, Richard Lovelace. And this one is it's called Lucasta Going to the Wars. And it says, true, a new mistress now I chase, the first foe in the field, and with a stronger faith embrace, a sword, a horse, a shield. That sounds very much like a young cavalier going off to war, doesn't it? And it ends with the famous lines, I could not love thee, dear, so much, loved I not honor more. Okay, so see what you can do with these, and in each box tell me why you think that it's one of the three kinds of poems. Now